Right. Good evening, everyone. It is 5:02. I want to thank you all for attending tonight's meeting of the Temple City Council for May 16th, 2024. Please rise as the invocation will be led by Deputy City Secretary Liz Caraway. The pledge will be led by Jan Llewellyn. Ms. Caraway.
Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. I pray that you will guide our paths and help us navigate through everything that comes our way. Thank you daily for showing us how faithful you are to us, day after day, season after season. And thank you, Father, for this rain. I do pray, though, that you'll keep those within the path of heavy storms and flooding safe, and be with the first responders as they navigate reaching those in harm's way. And tonight, once again, be with our city council and leadership as they too navigate through our city towards the future and the decisions they make today that will affect Temple both tomorrow and years down the road. Guide and direct those decisions and give each of them knowledge and peace. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Flag of the United States of America. The Republic stands one nation, God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, ladies. Next item is public comments. Citizens who desire to address the council on any matter may do so. We ask that you simply step to the podium and state your name for the record. Please keep your comments to no more than 3 minutes. You can watch the monitors on the sides there to be sure and meet your 3-minute time frame. And there's nothing, so this is all out of habit. Okay. Scratch that. Next, we'll move on to special recognitions. First one is to recognize May 19th through 25th, 2024 as National Public Works Week. Mr. Bond, is he here? Come on down. You have a proclamation to read here. Is it just you or do you have any more staff? We see you, Kenny. Y'all come on down. Y'all know the drill. Let me read the proclamation, then you can say whatever you need to do. Okay, so first, this proclamation reads from the Office of the Mayor of the City of Temple, whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and provide vital support to emergency response partners, helping to protect essential services and restoring those services following an emergency. And whereas these infrastructure and facilities and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public work professionals who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other essential services that for our citizens. And whereas this year's theme, Advancing Quality of Life for All, honors the vital contribution public work professionals make every day to our community and communities across North America. And it invites the public to celebrate their quiet dedication and indispensable influence on our way of life. And whereas 2024 marks the 64th annual National Public Works Week, and it is in the public interest for the citizens in the city of Temple to gain knowledge of and to maintain a progressive interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their communities. Now, therefore, I, Timothy A. Davis, Mayor of the City of Temple, Texas, do hereby proclaim the week of May 19 through 25, 2024 as Public Works Week in the City of Temple, and urge all citizens to pay tribute to our public works professionals, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions that they make to protect our health, safety, welfare, and quality of life. In testimony whereof, I witness my hand in the seal of the City of Temple, Texas, on the 16th day of May, 2024. Well, thank you all for everything that you do for us.
Thank you, Mayor. It appears that Buford Craig is applying for a job with us. If hired, we will have 252 public works professionals whose mission is to provide the life-sustaining infrastructure and services that are the foundation of civilization and commerce. That is our new revised mission statement. I mentioned the staffing because that's the fewest number of vacancies we've had in a long time. And it's due in no small part to your support. So thank you.
Don, what is, if you guys are fully staffed, how many are you budgeted for?
262,
And you've got 250,
251.
very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Plus now 252. Yeah. Yeah. Don't let him near the equipment.
He says I'm a negative.
Okay. Okay.
Buford will hire you if you can bring Chad and Nancy and Henry back.
Very good. So really, seriously though, thank you for everything that you guys do. Y'all are you're the backbone of the city. If the inner workings don't work, what good is all the shiny stuff, right? So thank y'all.
Yes, sir. I agree. Thank you. Yes, we'll go take a picture. Anybody else want to say anything? Thanks, sir.
You're welcome. Thank you.
You want to get I
Next is to recognize May 17 through 29, 2024 as Central Texas Air Fest Days. I saw Sean come in earlier. Y'all come on down.
You want the whole crew, right?
Yes, if we have anybody,
Come on, guys.
if you're with the airport, come on down. Okay. Yeah, we see you. All right, this proclamation reads, whereas the city of Temple, along with the John Miller Central Texas Regional Airport, will host the Central Texas Air Fest, a 3-day epic air show event, May 17th through 19th. And whereas the Central Texas Air Fest is becoming a much anticipated annual event in the city of Temple, and with each year, the crowds continue to grow and experience the excitement of the wild blue yonder. And whereas featuring supersonic speed jets, gravity-defying aerobatics, parachutists, and exciting ground displays, the Central Texas Air Fest is an unforgettable experience. And whereas throughout the weekend, attendees can meet pilots and crew, view vintage classics to the cutting-edge first fighter jet aircraft, that's a lot, enjoy a live concert and an illuminating drone show, as well as food trucks, vendor booths, a kid zone, and more. And whereas the Central Texas Air Fest is an unforgettable celebration of aviation and family fun featuring aeronautical acts from 11 different performers doing 14 acts per day. Now, therefore, I, Timothy A. Davis, Mayor of the City of Temple, Texas, do hereby recognize May 17th through 19th, 2024 as Central Texas Air Fest Days in the city of Temple, Texas, and I encourage all citizens to come out to the John Miller Central Texas Regional Airport for an action-packed weekend of nonstop entertainment for spectators of all ages. In testimony whereof, I witness my hand in the seal of the city of Temple, Texas on this 16th day of May, 2024. Sean.
Thank you, Mayor, Council, City Manager. I thought you were going to be able to do that all in one breath, but you almost made it. So this is the second year the City of Temple has taken on the air show at the airport. The first year was a lot of learning, and it was pretty hard for the airport to do it. And now we welcome the special events team with us. They have come with great ideas, a lot of added extras. And we're happy to team with them and make this a spectacular 3-day event. Holly?
After that proclamation, if you're not excited to come to the air show, come see me. I might have a couple tickets I could spare. But just again, the special events team is super excited to be part of this event. It's learning for us, which is always great for event coordinators. But really, it takes everybody in the city from various departments to help us pull off this event. Public Works was out today helping us with some parking. And so although it's the airport and the special events team, it really is a collaboration between all of our city departments. Thank you.
And I believe that the weather is supposed to clear the rest of the week. Hopefully it'll dry everything out. Very good. Well, congratulations. It's always a fun event. We're looking forward to it. You bet.
You want little Tim too?
You know what? Y'all can do it out.
You're there and scared. Oh,
Okay. Thank you. You can't have that. No, that's yours. Take that with you. Yep. But I know, I just told him that and they walked off. Okay, so very good. The next thing, item number 5, is to recognize the John Miller Central Texas Regional Airport for receiving the National and Regional Airport of the Year Award from the Texas Department of Transportation Aviation Division. So tell us about that. Tell us what about qualifications. What does it take to win this award?
Well, thanks again, Mayor, Council, City Manager's Office. We have a short video to show you at this moment.
From its humble beginnings as an Army airfield in the 1940s, John Miller Central Texas Regional Airport has evolved into a modern, award-winning aviation facility operated by the City of Temple. Spanning across 922 acres and standing at an elevation of 682 feet above sea level, this airport features 2 asphalt-paved runways, one stretching 7,000 feet by 150 feet and the other measuring 4,740 feet by 100 feet. Over the years, this airport has undergone a series of transformative projects, each aimed at enhancing safety, efficiency, and user experience. These initiatives include a taxiway refurbishment with a compass rose placement, refurbishment of the original beacon tower, and recently purchasing a 2023 Oshkosh Striker 1500 ARF truck. Thanks to strategic funding partnerships with TxDOT Aviation CIP and RAMP, John Miller Airport has also modernized airfield lighting from incandescent to LED, cleared over 17 acres of trees and vegetation in the approach of runway 03 to clear obstacles, mitigated wildlife hazards in the same area, and constructed 8 shovel-ready plots for future corporate hangars in an access road. Recently, the airport fully funded a $7.4 million construction of a brand new 6,800 square foot FBO and airport administration terminal. A recent visitor stated, "It's a beautiful new terminal building with a huge covered awning that can accommodate large corporate aircraft." Looking ahead, John Miller Airport is committed to further enhancements, including to crack seal, seal coat, paint and repaint runway 1634, realigning taxiway D around the approach end of runway 03 to remove non-standard runway crossing and improve safety for the flying public, and replacing the current AWAS system with the new AWAS 3 system. With a 35% increase in operations and fuel sales over the past 5 years, John Miller Airport continues to elevate its existing infrastructure and services, ensuring safety and convenience for all travelers. It's with great pride that we honor John Miller Central Texas Regional Airport as our National Regional Airport of the Year.
So we were honored for all those projects that we've done at the airport in the last 4 years, and those projects couldn't have gotten done without your support. All of you standing up there, sitting up there today, and we really appreciate it. It's just been a pleasure to receive this support from you guys so that we can better ourselves, expand ourselves, and be the shining star in the center of Texas. So thank you all for everything you do for us.
You're very welcome. You guys keep up the good work. Thank y'all.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, I can do it up the front. Come on, guys. Okay, so on your right is our brand new FBO manager who is heading the operations at the airport. And the FBO there at the airport, they handle all the aircraft that come and go from our area. They take care of the pilots, the passengers. They have a customer service team that does a fantastic job of taking care of them, and also a concierge service as well. Then we have our airfield maintenance supervisor, Mike Johnson. He is in charge of making sure the airfield runways, taxiways, the lights, all of our vehicles, all of our equipment stay up and running and clean and safe for our flying public. David Holmes, our operations manager, he is over airfield maintenance and the ARF department. And then we've got Joe Zaraga, our ARF and line service technician supervisor. So that makes up pretty much the admin team of the airport. So thank you all again for anything.
Why don't you
Anyone-
tell them what ARF stands for?
I'm sorry, Aircraft Rescue Firefighting. So it's a specialized department of the fire department that deals just with aircraft accidents and incidents at the airport. All right, thank you all.
Again. If you haven't been to the airport lately, this is a perfect weekend to do it. Get some tickets from Holly, go out there and enjoy the air show. Will the FBO be open for,
Not for the public
For-
that day, it's just for the performers and pilots.
Okay.
We can't leave them out.
Yep.
But they'll be able to see it.
Yep.
See the beautiful canopy and walk around there.
yeah, beautiful facility?
We truck at the airport, usually the last Wednesday of every month. The public can come out, tour the entire FBO, take helicopter rides, airplane rides, and enjoy a meal at the airport.
Yeah, very good. It's a great place. Congratulations. Okay, next item is item number 6, which is the first and final reading in a public hearing for consideration and action with respect to an ordinance authorizing the issuance of $64 million City of Temple, Texas Combination Tax and Revenue Certificates of Obligation, Series 2024, authorizing the levy of an ad valorem tax and the pledge of certain revenues in support of the certificates, approving an official statement and paying agent registrar agreement, awarding the sale of the certificates, and authorizing other matters related to the issuance of the certificates. Ms. Bernard.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. Today we are at, next to the final step to issuing our bond. Bank, we had a sale this morning. Later in just a few minutes, Dan Wegmiller will recommend the most responsible lowest bid for those bonds. But just to take you through the steps, March 7th, you authorized a resolution for the publication. Notice was published March 10th, and the week of March 10th and the 23rd, we had our rating call. We received the bond rating in May 6th. And here we are tonight, the ordinance authorizing the sale. And then the actual closing proceeds will be delivered on June 6th. Just a brief overview of what this will be funding, and $39.2 million of our mobility plan, 7.1 million in facilities, 2.2 million in public safety, and 15.5 million in places and spaces. Looking at, again, the 64 million of project funds. The payback source is INS tax pledge. And all of this is amortized over, or the life of the bonds is 20 years. With the exception of facilities, we do those at 15 years. Just again, more detail on the projects, looking through this list. One of the big ones is on the TCIP is Hartrick Bluff Road reconstruction for 11.6 million. Poison Oak Phase 2, 8.3 million. 42nd Street reconstruction for 5.8. And then additional funding that was needed for Kegley Road Phase 3 and 4. And I won't go through all the lists, but you can see them there. Looking at places and spaces, Nugent Avenue improvements, 3rd Street to 14th Street of 3.5 million. Storybook Grove Park downtown, 2.9 million. Various playground equipment and shade structures. And then Avenue D connections and alley right away. And I won't go through the whole list, but those projects total 15.5 million. Facilities, one of the bigger ones on here is the renovations at the Salmons Clubhouse. And various other renovations, server room remodel for City Hall, and the parking lot refurbishment next to Central Fire Station. Again, those total 7.1. Public safety is to replace fire engine number 4 at 1.2 million. Purchase 3 squad vehicles at 814,000, and then contingency funds. Just as a reminder, in our business plan, the city continues to implement the largest capital improvement program in the history of the community, and the city's financing plan recommends significant funding to 1, invest in our infrastructure and systems. 2, plan for, design, construct, and maintain high-quality facilities. 3, prioritize our parks and neighborhood plans. And 4, enhance public safety through the expansion of technology, facilities, and equipment. And our approach to that is a phased funding of design and right-of-way prior to funding construction. A goal that you've set forward is to minimize and stabilize the tax rate impact, maximize opportunity for tax-based growth, balance debt amortization year over year, and then to launch this program, align the funding when the projects are ready. And with that, I don't have Carol Palumbo or Jacqueline here, but we do have Clayton, and Dan Wickmiller will go over the bids we received today and recommend the low bidder.
Great. Thank you, Tracy. Mayor, Council, Dan Wegmiller with Specialized Public Finance. As was mentioned, this is a well thought out, well planned out issuance and projects that the city has been pursuing over many years. As part of that, we applied for the bond rating. As we've seen in the past, the rating's been affirmed at the very high AA rating category. They noted the exceptional financial performance of the city year over year, the management of the city in planning and putting forth these projects and moving forward as you see fit that fits into your budget. And then the thriving economy that represents the Central Texas area and Temple leading the way. So with that, the rating was affirmed. As always, you all saw a lot of interest in the debt that you were selling today. 13 bids came in today. It's been a very active market in the Texas bond market over the last month, and more to come. So we see at times a fluctuation of interest, people buying or not buying. But this is outstanding as far as getting 13 bids, low interest rate of 3.783100% by B of A, which is the bid we recommend that you accept. And then again, just note, the bid and all the elements of the bid were incorporated into the ordinance by Clayton Chandler and McCall Parkhurst and Horton. So the ordinance has been updated to reflect this bid. So I'm here to answer any questions or that's it.
Council, anything for Mr. Wegmiller? Just a general question, without the assuming the city of Temple didn't have such a strong financial rating, what normally would you see? Would you see fewer bidders or would you see higher rates or a combination of the two?
It's a combination of the two. And I think that's a great question because the rating is a great grade for you all to see, but that is used by the investors making these decisions to buy. And when there's a lot of competition in the market, a lot of issues coming to market, they can not bid on this and focus on other issues. And as I mentioned, they are truly focused on the stability that you all bring to the table.
Good, thank you. Something we're very proud of and will continue to maintain. So, right, Tracy?
Yes, sir.
Very good. Anything else?
We should thank both of you for driving through the mess to come. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, this item is subject to a public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak may do so. As you step to the podium and state your name, and any comments you might have. Or raise your hand on the platform. Nothing from the audience? All right, then council, I will close the public, what? Oh, yes, sir. I'm sorry. I didn't see you.
My name is Kelly Kinzer. I'm a resident here of Temple and of the Deerfield subdivision. And I just wanted to speak briefly, to give thanks to the council for having us an opportunity to speak here about some concerns I have about a proposed liquor license being given to the Triangle project.
Mr. Kinzer, this isn't the time for that yet.
Not
That'll,
that-
no, and we'll get to that and we'd love to hear from you. We keep the topic on the item. You'll know. Yeah, and I'll call you first. All
Okay.
right. Very good. Anybody else to speak on this item? Nothing? Okay. Then I'll close the public hearing on this item and council will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the bond item as presented by Mr. Wegmiller and by Tracy. As they both presented it.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilmember Long. We have a second by Councilmember Pilkington. Council, please cast your vote. The bond item passes 5 votes to 0. Moving on to the consent agenda, all items listed under this section are to be considered routine by the city council and may be enacted in one motion. Thank you, gentlemen. If discussion is desired by the council, any item can be removed. Council, we discussed this, the consent agenda during our workshop, and it was agreed upon that we didn't want to remove anything then. Has that changed? All right. Then if there's no desire to pull anything, then council will entertain a motion on item number 7A through 7P.
I'll move to approve items 7A through 7P.
We have a motion by Councilmember Pilkington. We have a second by Councilmember Grant. Council, cast your vote. The consent agenda passes 5 votes to 0. Moving on to the regular agenda item. Item number 8 is the first reading in a public hearing to consider adopting an ordinance approving a conditional use permit to allow sales of alcoholic beverages for on-premise consumption where alcohol sales shall not exceed 50% of the total gross revenue of the establishment at 5703, 5709, 5919, and 5931 South 31st in Temple, Texas. Mr. Chandler.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Council. And this is the item, sir, that you were interested in, so there will be an opportunity to speak after the presentation when the public hearing is open. And so this is what is known as the Triangle Tract. So you can see it's along 31st Street. The Deerfield neighborhood is across the Georgetown Railroad right-of-way and future Georgetown Railroad Trail. And just some photos of the townhomes that are under construction. And this is a mixed-use project, so townhomes, office, proposed restaurants, which is why we're here this evening. for conditional use permit for restaurant thresholds for TABC liquor license. And so once again, just current photos of the site. And looking down 31st Street and then just neighboring properties across the way, existing offices. And so here's the site plan. This is a zone neighborhood service. The townhomes, the retail, the office are all allowed under that zoning district. And as I mentioned, this is for alcohol sales for a restaurant threshold, and that's not to exceed 50% of all revenue. So that is not a bar, it's a restaurant. It's for the on-premise consumption as would happen in a restaurant. I think it's important to note that per chapter 4 of our code of ordinances and then section 5 in the Unified Development Code that regulate alcohol sales. This is not located within 300 feet of a church, school, or hospital. And then in terms of UDC section 5315 for alcohol sales, as well as 354 conditional use permit, and then chapter 4 in the code of ordinances, and then lastly looking at chapter 24 and section 718 related to noise. We're looking at compliance for those items, and we have a condition specifically related to noise just to try to prevent any noise issues with neighbors. I think it's important to point out that the new city library branch location is also part of this development, not part of the CUP. It's shown here in the middle of the development. And then, of course, the CUPs, those 4 addresses, you can see 2 of them are shown in blue at the top. Keep in mind that the developer intends for those to be office, but they would like the flexibility if a restaurant were to locate there to for them to be also eligible and for or approved for the CUP. But the other 2 addresses are shown there near the library, backing up to the Georgetown Railroad Trail, shown in red. Oh, and I should point out that in addition to the library, there are also Georgetown Railroad Trail connections that you can see of those 2 buildings, the red buildings there, courtyard, plaza, connecting them, but also connections to that future trail, which should be let within the year and a half, or in about as soon as a year from now. 21 notices were sent out to property owners within 200 feet. 35 were returned in agreement, and of course, the developer still owns all of those lots within the Triangle property. And so those are reflected within the 35 properties in agreement. And in disagreement, we received 3 responses. 1 to the south, within the Deerfield neighborhood that you can see there, and then 2 to the north. Couple, the Mr. and Mrs. Morrison, who own both of that strip and residential acreage to the north of that narrow strip that you see on the screen. And then the newspaper printed notice within the Temple Daily Telegram on April 25th. And just a reminder that with a conditional use permit, it can be revoked if there are issues. If it creates a nuisance, then there is a process to allow for that to be revoked. That's essentially what we have here up on the screen. And then in staff's analysis of compliance with the criteria for for CUP in terms of noise, drainage, impact on traffic, screening, but overall compatibility with neighboring properties. Staff's interpretation is that it is compliant. We've highlighted noise on that 3rd row from the bottom, and we'll show you why. But first of all, staff is recommending approval with the conditions. And planning and zoning recommended approval by 7-0 at their meeting. And so the conditions are shown here. And what I want to go to number 4, first of all, so that'd be a condition related to limiting outdoor entertainment, a cutoff at, by 10 p.m. Or any other controllable noise that the restaurant can manage. So also cease by 10 p.m. And then, of course, just the other standard conditions for the CUP, including if there are significant changes to the site plan, then that site plan, could return to city council. Or the revenue generated as well, if that exceeds the 50% threshold. That's also regulated by TABC. And so P&Z at the May 6th meeting voted 7-0 to support the staff recommendation, including those conditions. And I'll be happy to answer any questions. The applicant and engineer for the project are here as well. And I understand that there's some neighbors that would like to speak as well.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Chandler. Council, anything for Brian? Thank you. At this time, I'll open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak may do so. We ask that you step to the podium or raise your hand on the platform. And Mr. Kinzer, I'd like to invite you to the podium.
Ask that the graphic that's up on.
Well, again, thank you for the opportunity to speak here, and I'll be brief. I am opposed to the giving of an alcohol license to the Triangle project based on the fact that the city council has done a wonderful job, I think, of securing a public library site for the children and for the community. And I think it would be extremely contraindicated and a negative influence to have any alcohol served present on the premises in such close proximity to something that is supposed to be here to benefit the children and the youth of our community. The second point I would make is that I know great strides have been taken over many years to secure this public hike and bike or walking trail. And this trail will include crossing over 31st Street, which is already a very busy and congested intersection based on the traffic trying to ingress and egress both Bella Vista, Bella Terra subdivision and the Deerfield subdivision. So I'd be very concerned as to the impact. Right now, these intersections are not really properly marked. And I'm afraid that many drivers on 31st Street tend to take the turning lane as an acceleration lane. And so there's a lot of trouble in pulling into and out of our subdivision already. This will be made further more difficult once this hiking trail crosses over 31st Street. I would really hate to see the influence of any alcohol consumed on the property to have any impact on the citizens in the subdivisions or people driving on 31st Street. So I think it's great we're having a public library, but I think it's not right to have alcohol consumed anywhere near the facility. And I'm concerned about the people crossing over 31st Street. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else?
First name Joseph, last name Rob, R-U-B. I'm another neighbor of Deerfield Estates. I got a few things that I want to talk about, but while I'm talking, I want the council members to think about the following thing. Starting on Taylor Baptist Church, which is on 93rd, beginning of 31st Street, going down all the way to Main Street or Central Street. Tell me if anybody can think of 4 businesses, restaurants that have liquor licenses in those few miles that you'll be traveling 31st Street. While I'm talking, I want you to count the businesses you know of that have liquor licenses, restaurants on 31st Street. I tried to think about it, and I travel a lot. I couldn't think of 4, but maybe I'll let you think about it. Okay, I'm looking at this plan. We were told that there were going to be 4 businesses that were going to require or requesting a liquor license. Now we find out it's going to be 6 maybe. It's nice to know things before we get going what the true plans are. Okay. When we were introduced to Triangle Track, it was supposed to be a mixed-use development composed of townhomes, offices, and retail space. Nowhere did it say restaurants or sale of alcohol beverages. So they came under one pretense and now they're wanting to change it. I just want to show people here something.
Mr. Rob, would you take that microphone with you as you go? I know we'll be able to hear you, but we want to be sure that we can hear you on the recording. Thank you.
Okay, this is 7 acres here. This is what they're presenting here. Right here, you have 32 townhomes. Due to where people work or transportation, public transportation we have, most of these townhomes are going to have 2 cars. That's going to be a total of 64 cars. That is more cars than most of your car dealers have here in Temple. That's just a starter. Each of these businesses here, if it's a restaurant and it has an alcohol license, you're going to be having 1 bartender. You're going to have at least two waitresses. You're going to have a cook. You're going to have a guy in the back cleaning the dishes and everything. So you probably have between 6 and 10 employees. They're not going to come walking either. They're going to come in cars. So add 6 businesses by 6, that's another 36 cars. That doesn't include the people that are going to go there to drink or to eat. That's only 7 acres. I invite the council members that are going to vote on this to walk through that and see what the space, what we're talking about is. It's very limited. Okay, there's another thing here that was mentioned. The property value, the property values, all these houses that people bought here were taking in consideration that lot would be a park. It didn't turn into a park. Looked like the city council members were thinking more of how they could generate money. And we were thinking of maybe a park that would combine with the walking path that they were going to make. And this is what strikes me. That was one of the nicest pieces of land for wildflowers in Temple. Temple calls themselves the wildflower capital of Texas. They demolished all those flowers. Those flowers, people would go. If they were getting married, they'd take their pictures. It was just full of people taking pictures of it. Where do we have a park on 31st Street? We don't have any. We just keep, bowing the people that have, just thinking how much money we can generate. And we got to think of the quality of life of the people of Temple. There's another thing here. They're supposedly on the plans you have here, there should be sufficient landscaping and screening to ensure harmony and compatibility with adjacent property. Deerfield Estates has been fighting this. We have asked the city of Temple, and we've been talking to deaf people. We even had a meeting at my house, and I'll tell you what happened after that meeting.
None of us are deaf.
Well,
We listen.
let
We
me,
may not do what you want us to do, but we're not deaf.
explain what happened. You sent people from the city of Temple to talk to us, to address these issues. And we told them that this whole group of trees here on this side of the track, on the west side of the track, had been eliminated by the contractor, except 200 feet up here. So what did they do after the meeting? The contractor went and eliminated the other set of trees. So when we're talking about maintaining privacy and security and all this, these people are doing what the heck they want, and the city of Temple is not supervising it. I have a stack of letters that I've written to the city of Temple. And when I say deaf ears, it's either they're in. The last time the people were at my house, we had a meeting with the neighborhood and everything, and they decided to take the rest of the trees off the following day. I said, I wrote the person in charge and I said, I get the feeling that you people are in bed with the contractor. Because he does what he wants and he gets away with it, and you have no supervision. Never answered. Okay, now you're talking about that you sent these forms. Okay, there's another thing I want to say here. This, whatever you just said, is not the conditional use incompatible with non-injurious to the use and enjoyment of the property and does not significantly diminish and impair property values within the immediate area. So we had what we're talking about, all these houses behind this project. If we decide to sell our houses, we're gonna have to do it in the spring. Because otherwise, who's gonna buy a house when they're looking to these amount of apartments, the restaurants you want to put up, the liquor licenses? So we only have a few months if we're gonna sell our houses that we could sell it where we sort of hide what's behind the fences. Now, you also mentioned here that you had a response. Can I go back to the slide that you had where the amount of, you asked if people were in favor or disagreed? Okay, this area here. The only people that could respond would be these houses on this side, one house up there and one business up here. The houses all said that they disagreed with it. And the business across the street said it was in favor. Can you give me the total amount of okay. So where do we get 35 properties that we sent notices to? I don't see 35 properties in this.
That's how many were returned.
In the triangle.
Yeah.
It's appropriate to have a response.
Okay, so in that triangle, where do we have 35 responses from? You don't have any restaurants here. The people haven't moved into the townhomes.
Yes, I was trying to make it clear that those are from the applicant. Those are, the 35 properties are in the triangle, so just to be transparent, that those did come from the applicant, those who are in favor. So there are 35 lots.
So they have,
That's all. it was.
so you really actually have two people that voted against it that were true neighbors. The other
Three
ones,
properties too.
the other ones don't exist except for the landlords.
Correct.
Okay, so is that a true evaluation?
That's the based on state law process, as you do recall.
I mean,
We
these
are
are
required to
phantoms.
follow that process.
These almost don't, you're
Bring
telling me
this
that
in,
these
bring it.
exist when they don't exist.
No.
When I went through the list, I had in favor, Triangle Commercial, in favor, Black Land Capital, in favor, Triangle Residential. All people that have a special interest in getting this approved.
Mr. Rob, you're making an analysis of the presentation rather than simply talking to us about your concerns.
Well, my concerns is you bring up that all these people were in favor, but who are these people?
It's one person that owns 35 lots.
And he has to gain from it.
The rules state that the notices have to go to every lot owner within 200 feet. He happens to own 35 lots.
So he had 35 votes.
Yeah.
So this is very impartial. Okay, now I've got a question. Okay, we have this.
Mr. Rob, this isn't an investigation
No, I'm
of,
not saying, I'm just asking.
then please
these
direct,
Numbers that you projected up here, where do you come from?
I
Where do
just-
they come from?
I just told you.
35 empty lots. Is that a good analysis of what the neighborhood wants around?
Well, I think this is a pretty good analysis of what the neighborhood wants. There's 3 people here.
When we decided we went against the storage place. All these homes back here were notified. Okay, on the other side of the railroad track. They were notified about if they wanted the storage place or not. Why weren't all these homes notified in this state, in this instance?
They may have been and didn't respond.
They weren't.
Okay, Brian,
Just a small group of homes.
make some notes.
Just a small group of homes right here. I mean, I'm just saying, you say that this is a good representation. I say a guy's got 35 homes and he has more townhomes and he has more influence than the homes behind that project. When we shot down the storage place, you notified us. Who notified us about this meeting? The newspaper. We didn't get any notification. All these homes that surround us.
That's because this is a publicly posted meeting. That's how we do it in the newspaper.
Okay, that's how I found out in the newspaper. What I'm trying to say, Mayor, is when you wanted to get the storage place put there, you notified all the residents that were
Same rules applied then. It may be that those neighbors didn't, the ones that came for the storage buildings didn't respond to this one. I mean, there's a ton of reasons why. I don't know. That was 5 years ago.
Mayor, the reason that the notification would have been different for that case would have been because the boundaries of that case were different. This case is only dealing with those 4 specific lots that you see on that map in the hatched area.
So the 200-foot range was different.
Based on those lots, and for the previous zoning case, it would have been based on a different area that was being requested. So the boundary would have been different. And just again, I said this a few minutes ago, just so everybody hears the process that is followed for who is notified and who is allowed to respond in agreement or disagreement is set out in state law and our local ordinances. And as council well knows, it's not a vote. It's just something that is one of the many factors that we put forward to you for consideration as you're making your decision. But that's the reason that potentially or absolutely different people were notified of a previous zoning case because the boundaries of that zoning request from that previous applicant were different.
I understand that, but what you should say here is that only the people that were in Triangle Track had the vote to get the liquor license or not and establish a restaurant.
No, that's
Not a vote.
that's these 5 people.
What 5 people?
These council members right here.
It sounds, Dr. Rob, like you really want it to still be a blue bonnet field.
No, that's passed. That's passed. All I'm
It
just
is.
saying is for the people that live behind that, they should have some say and not these phantom people that haven't even moved in.
Sure. So behind me, I have 2 apartment complexes, and in response to that, I put up a lot of trees. So these folks own this property. It's theirs to do with what they want to, unless it comes to a CUP for alcohol. So the trees on their property, I mean, they left a lot of them, and you've got the trail that's a buffer. I'm struggling with understanding why you're getting upset
Oh,
about.
this is the real, on either, can you go back to where you have the trees? There's a picture there. Show. Right here, okay? This is the railroad track in the middle. Okay,
Yes.
We wanted to keep a buffer because we knew what was gonna happen, okay? We asked for over 2 years to the city of Temple to leave this street of trees there, which would have given us a better buffer.
And because of that, I spoke with the developer and I am assured that new trees will be going in, but trees are the last thing to go in. Because, with all the dirt work and everything going around it, you're gonna have to remove them, so.
I
And all
agree.
the infrastructure underground, you can't put
Rob.
that in without
Rob.
trees.
Mr. Rob, right here, Tim, would you please stay at the podium instead of leaning on the dais? Nope, that's all right.
Okay, I just wanted to say something. You know that on the plans that the city of Temple authorized and signed off on, there's a part there that says site to be left in condition equal to or better than pre-construction condition.
At completion.
At completion.
Okay, at completion, do you know how big those trees are? Do you know how many trees were there?
No, sir, I don't.
sat down
I-
and counted.
But they weren't,
You see, this is.
they weren't on your property.
No, they weren't on my property, but they were on the city of Temple's property, and they should have protected those trees. Or made this contractor comply with what he signed off on. Now, these are big trees, and there are a lot of trees, you can see them. The amount of trees that are all. They eliminated the one on the west side. You see, this is what I'm saying, this is, we asked the city of Temple to prevent this from happening, and it went off that year, so I don't, I'm sorry that the mayor thinks different, but that happened, and I have a paperwork to justify that argument. Now, are they gonna do it? No, they're not gonna do it.
They will.
I-
I have worked with this developer in the past and it will be something to be proud of.
I hope so, because I've got pictures.
Hey, Mr. Rob, I'll, just Tim again up here. This conditional use permit is about the sale of alcohol. It doesn't have anything to do with trees. So would you like to begin to address that?
I'll ask you the following question. I've been talking here for about 10 minutes. How many businesses have you added all the way to Main Street that have liquor licenses?
How many of those have come here for a liquor license?
Actually, that doesn't have anything to do with anything because
But-
those, wait, let me finish my sentence, I'm
Mhm.
sorry. Those owners have not requested something. This owner has.
Six, and you can't tell me four on 31st Street.
That's not,
That's
that's,
concentration of alcohol.
but the issue between here, between 93 and Adams on 31st is not the issue because those owners have not made a request.
No,
This owner has.
I'm just gonna say something. Six. You can tell me they're gonna put six in one place, yet you can't tell me on 31st Street.
Six what?
Well, you've got.
Maximum.
Oh, 4 maximum.
Okay, let's go four. Can you give me four on 31st Street that have liquor licenses?
What difference does that make? You're,
High concentration of.
and that's fine. That's fine. And it was stated during the presentation that, that the expectation of the two blue buildings to the north, that those will be office.
Okay, but I'm just saying that originally, this was supposed to be a mixed-use development composed of townhomes, which we see offices, which we see retail spaces. Not out, restaurants with alcohol licenses. That's all I'm saying.
And that's why it's here now. That's what we're trying to say. All those other things you talked about, now they're asked for a change, and that's why it's now before the city council.
Okay.
This is the appropriate place at the appropriate time to address this.
And I'm saying this is a neighborhood area. It's neighborhood homes. Why do we want businesses with alcohol licenses? Like I said, where are those cars gonna park? We've already had.
There has to be adequate parking. I mean, the city requires adequate parking.
You don't have adequate parking. I'm trying to emphasize that.
You got until 6:05.
So Dr. Rob, 31st Street is a prime location to put this. It makes sense and it's a good development. It's 5 lanes of traffic.
in the busiest street in town. Not necessarily on that end yet, but it's a busy street.
Do you know how many accidents we've almost had going into my neighborhood?
And Dr. Rob, we get calls every day asking for upscale restaurants with alcohol with dinner, wine and alcohol with dinner every day.
Okay,
And a lot of your neighbors are gonna walk right out of your neighborhood, right over there.
you know, Susan Long, which would be a nice place to place them. You're trying to rebuild downtown Temple, send them there.
Need them there too.
Exactly.
But we have 100,000 people in this town.
He just wants to talk, he's gonna talk about the traffic problem we have now before these residents go up.
Okay, so are you finished? Okay.
Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, I just want to take a couple of moments, and while that is up there, just remind you of a couple of things. This is not direct. Robert Rose, resident of Deerfield Estates for 18 years. And so, since I moved in, there has been two huge developments on the west side of 31st Street. There is a smaller development towards the end of 31st Street. But overall, in those three areas, I don't know the exact number of homes, but I would guess 300 to 400 homes have been built. I'm hoping that in the discussion that you've had, as you talked about how this is going to be developed and how well it's going to be maintained, I have a serious concern about the traffic flow. That's why I got up to say this at this point. The traffic on 31st Street probably averages 55 to 65 miles an hour. Right? Not the whole way, because right up here at the top, there's a curve. But from this development down, even though the speed limit is 50, okay? What are your...
Is this related to alcohol sales?
Absolutely.
Okay.
What happens when people come out after dinner with a couple of glasses of wine? What happens in terms of what we presently have in terms of left-hand turns into the two developments and Deerfield with that middle lane with the cars coming? What are we doing? This is my question to you. What is your plan for traffic control and traffic flow with the development that's being operated? Nothing to do with the restaurants per se, because they may not provide more than 20 or 30 or 40 cars. But what is your plan right now? We had 2 deaths right at the corner, the curve of 31st. Nothing has happened in terms of changing the speed limit along there. And so my concern is, and we've already experienced this, I paced it out, and between Deerfield and the tracks, moving north, in this direction, there's 100 yards, all right? The traffic coming north on 31st Street to turn into these developments, go into the middle lane, going west, okay? The people coming south, going into Deerfield, making a left-hand turn. I have personally experienced several times encountering a car in front of me in the passing lane with cars on each of the 2 lanes the other way, coming along at 50 to 60 miles an hour. And we have no control. There is no control on that road. So if you're building this development, if you're building these restaurants and other things, you have a library with young children. My question to you is, what is your plan for the flow of traffic, 31st Street? I would really appreciate you thinking about that. I hear you saying this is a wonderful developer. No question there, I'm sure it is. But what is the control on traffic? Rest my case.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Scott Keela, 20 Richmond Drive, representative developer. Thank you, council, mayor, for considering this item tonight. I think Brian covered pretty much everything. I just would want to reiterate 2 things. Is we were neighborhood services when we bought the property. That allows for restaurants by right. We think it's important to, instead of having BYOB restaurants, to bring these under the city and the UDC, so that city has more control. And then also, one item is the lot across the street on Blue Meadow also already has a CUP. So I think, it's a good precedent that it is something that's already been added across the street. Yeah.
Mr. Keeler, could I ask you about the parking? Is there adequate parking for the buildings that are?
Yes, currently we have 64 excess parking spaces based on, the current projections that we have.
Are there garages in the townhomes?
Yes, all the garages have.
And they're not accounted for on that parking spots, correct, or?
Yes.
Let him finish.
The parking is based on the city's parking requirements that are addressed when building permits come in. So those uses all have meet or exceed the city's requirement for parking.
Thank you, sir.
For the residents from Deerfield that are here, I'm obviously the council member that represents this area. I'm very aware of the issues of traffic on 31st Street. I have mentioned, I have asked the developer to look at it. I've asked TxDOT to look at it. I've asked our planning department to look at it. And I've asked the city manager's office to look at it. Everybody is in the process of evaluating what this means with all the development down there. So it's not something that we are, one, deaf to or blind to. We're aware of it. Thank you, Tim.
Mr. Rose, before you speak, is there anybody else that wants to speak on this matter in public or on the platform? I give people 2 bites to the apple. This is your second one.
Be a short one again.
All righty.
I hear what you just said. Joe Rabb hosted a group from the city, and we were very thankful that they were there. We had 16 people from our community in this house. And we said 2 years ago, what are you going to do about the issue of traffic flow on 31st? 2 years ago. And you know what's happened? We're talking about it tonight, 2 years later. Okay. Please, you said to us one night at our meeting that the walkway has been in the works and the bicycle path has been in the works for 9 years.
Much longer than that.
Okay, and it's nowhere near finished yet. Oh, you're saying a year ago that was about a year out. Well, I don't know that that's going to happen. What I'm saying is we don't want to wait 2 more years to have the traffic flow issue discussed and resolved. Will I get killed? I don't know. But I don't want to see anyone get killed on 31st Street when city council knows that this is a speedway. And all you have to do is live in the community to hear the car racing down. And no police officers, I understand, they got more important things to do than watch traffic. Certainly in our area. But this is a serious issue. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you. Anyone else? He's using yours now.
Okay, Mr. Keeler, okay, he mentioned, they have 64 extra spaces that they counted for. Does that include these spaces that are gonna be occupied by the restrooms? So that's included there. Those six, the whole site. Okay, so. All buildings. Full build out. Okay, full build out. So we have 32 townhomes. 1 garage, like you said, for each townhome. Where does the extra car go?
Mr. Rob, please address the council. This isn't an investigation of his project.
No, I'm just asking, you mentioned something. I just wanted to-
Well, then that's what he said. He said he has 64 excess spaces.
Right, and I'm just trying to get to see where they're gonna fit. Okay, that's my thing. You've got the restaurants, they're gonna, just the employees are gonna take 7 apiece. So you've got 4 buildings, that's 28, that's almost 30 places without the clients, the clientele is gonna be coming in. You've got this 32 townhomes that are gonna be taking a lot of those spaces too.
Is it about alcohol or parking?
Right. So I'm just saying, if you're gonna give, it's not only alcoholic, but it's the restaurant. It's both of them. Where are they gonna fit? The restaurants are gonna fit the people coming in.
Mr. Chandler? Does this project site plan meet the parking requirements of the city of Temple?
Yes.
Okay,
We,
thank
we,
you.
we reviewed it. Offices are 1 per 300 square feet. Townhomes, 2 parking spaces, one of them is in the garage, one's in the driveways that has been mentioned.
Yeah.
Retail is 1 per 250 square feet. Restaurants are 1 per 3 seats.
So
And
they're
all of
standard.
those have been evaluated and they have an additional 64 beyond what's required.
So there are standards that are applied and are put into practice
Correct.
and have been determined to work.
Correct.
And with all those standards that have been applied by your department full of professionals, you found that there are 64 excess spaces over and above the anticipated volume at full build out. Thank you.
That's interesting. That lot doesn't look that big, but if he's the engineer, so he's got to know what it is.
He is. He is.
Okay, and so we're gonna have the four first restaurants with liquor licenses
Yeah.
on 31st Street.
Four more.
And our neighborhood concept is going out the window. Very good.
It's a great thing about living in a thriving community is things change. Okay. What else? Anyone else? Anyone on the platform? Very good. All right, at this time, I will close the public hearing on item number 8. In council, if there's no further discussion, then I'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve. I'll second that motion.
We have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Walker. We have a second by Councilmember Long. Council, cast your vote. Item 8 passes, it's 5 votes to 0. Item 9 is the first reading and a public hearing to consider adopting an ordinance approving a rezoning request from ag to neighborhood services on 3.753 plus or minus acres located in the J.J. Simmons Survey, abstract number 737 in the city of Temple, Texas, address is 5120 State Highway 317. Mr. Chandler.
All right, thank you, Mayor and Council. And so here's property on the west side of SH 317.
Thank you, gentlemen.
And on the map on the left, you can see that this is just to the north of the Poison Oak intersection. But on the west side, once again, and so photos of the site, and this is, of course, undeveloped. And you have mostly large residential sites on that side, but properties that have been rezoned for office and neighborhood service uses. And so this is the property to the south. Bottom right-hand corner, this is the site itself. And that arrow is the approximate location of a driveway that that TxDOT has preliminarily approved. And so when you look at the zoning, of course, this is zoned agriculture. This is just over 3.7 acres. And so to the south is also neighborhood service. You can see that kind of salmon color, and then to the south of that is also neighborhood service. And so buffering and screening requirements would apply adjacent to ag zone property. And so the future land use plan identified this area as corridor mixed use within the future land use element. Also, the thoroughfare plan identifies 317 as major arterial. In terms of the trails master plan and sidewalks, this is a trail as identified in the master plan. There is a 10-foot sidewalk on the east side of 317 that meets that requirement. However, a sidewalk is still required, a 6-foot on this side three seventeen as well. And that would happen with future permitting on the site. And in terms of mobility master plan, no conflicts. And utilities, there's no sewer available in this part of the city limits, but there is an 18-inch water line that you can see within 317 right of way. And so wastewater will be addressed with a future septic system and subject to review and approval by the Bell County Public Health District. This property is within the Belton Independent School District as well. And so this property, unlike the previous one, because there are large sites around it, in terms of notification, only 4 notices were sent out, and we did not receive any responses. The Development Review Committee did review this on April 25th, same day the newspaper notice went out. And so staff is recommending approval from ag to neighborhood service. And as did planning and zoning at their May 6th meeting by a vote of 7-0. And happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thanks, sir. Council, any questions? This item is subject to a public hearing. Anyone who to speak, may do so, step to the platform. I'm sorry, raise your hand on the platform or step to the podium. Or step to the platform. I'd like to see that. Anything? Okay. All right. Nobody from the audience, so I will close the public hearing and council will entertain a motion on item number 9.
Move to approve item number 9.
I'll second item number 9.
Have a motion by Councilmember Pilkington, a second by Councilmember Long. Council, please cast your vote. Item 9 passes 5 votes to 0. Item 10 is to consider adopting a resolution electing a mayor pro tem for the city of Temple. I have spoken with Ms. Walker and she's excited about continuing to serve as mayor pro tem. And so if anybody here would like to fight her for it, I suggest you nominate yourself. Otherwise, yeah, she said she's paying. Okay. No, seriously, Jesse, you've done a great job. I appreciate everything that you do for us and standing in for me when necessary. You're always willing and do a good job. So thank you. Yeah, you do a great job. So council, if there are no other nominations, I would entertain a motion on nominating Mayor Pro Tem Walker to continue to serve as Mayor Pro Tem.
I move to nominate Mayor Pro Tem Walker to continue to serve as Mayor Pro Tem.
That was
Second that motion.
very good.
With a great pleasure.
We have a motion by Councilmember Pilkington, a second by Councilmember Long. Council, please cast your vote.
Can I vote for me?
You can vote against you. But you would lose 4-1. So, no, seriously, thank you for all that you do. That motion, item 10 passes 5 votes to 0. We cleared the room. It is 6:20 on the dot. Thank you all for attending